It starts like any normal night. You're sitting in your living room, not really paying attention to the TV. It's just, well, background noise. You know, that kind of noise that just kind of blends into the hum of the house. A sports recap plays across the screen and you're half listening, half dozing, half thinking about work tomorrow. It's nothing special. Then the room changes. Not dramatically, not enough to scare you, just enough to make you look up. The screen, it flickers once, almost like a VHS tape, just kind of catching for a second. The sound dips like someone nudged the volume knob and then put it back. You chalk it up as old tech. It is the 80s, you know? TVs, sometimes they did weird things. But then the screen flickers again, longer this time. The picture bends, subtly warping toward the edges, as if someone is tugging the corners from behind. A quick flash of movement streaks across the screen. Not a person, not anything you can describe. Just, well, just wrong. You lean forward, and then suddenly the broadcast vanishes. The screen goes black. Silent. Still. You blink. 1 second. 2. Then something comes back. But whatever's on your television now wasn't made by the station, and it wasn't meant for you. Welcome back to the TTT Podcast. Tonight, we're going to tell the story of one of the strangest, most technically impossible, chilling broadcast intrusions in American history. We're going to tell you from the beginning to the end, when nobody knew what they were looking at. And you're probably thinking, well, it's me, it's Matt, it's Beardlaws. Joining me as always, Luther Grimwood.
Absolutely. And what a way to set the scene. By the beard of Neptune, we're diving right into that eerie, flickering moment in 1987 Chicago, and it's just going to get more fascinating from here. Tonight, it's all about pulling you into that slow burn, building the suspense and letting the story unfold as if you're right there, living it. So let's stir the pot and see what floats to the top, because Luther Grimwood is here to add that dash of mystery and a sprinkle of old world charm to the tale. It's going to be a fun ride.
It is gonna be a fun ride indeed. Luther, what has been happening? What have you been up to? How are things in your world?
Oh, just keeping the mustache waxed and the mysteries brewing. In Luther's world, there's always a little bit of old school charm to sprinkle around. Lately, I've been diving into a few more historical rabbit holes, cooking up some fun twists for our next storytelling adventures, and of course, just enjoying the ride. So trust me, Matt, it's all smooth sailing on the end, and I'm ready for whatever we're diving into next.
Ooh, what are some other things that that you've been diving into lately? I'm curious. Are any of them potential future episodes?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a few tasty morsels simmering away. I've been looking into some lesser-known historical oddities and a couple of quirky conspiracies that we haven't touched yet. Let's just say there might be a sprinkle of ancient map mysteries, maybe a little bit of, did that really happen, or is history just pulling our leg kind of vibe? And yeah, I'm definitely thinking some of these will find their way into future episodes. We got plenty of storytelling fuel on the horizon.
Ooh, I love some storytelling fuel. Storytelling fuel, that kind of sounds like a potential drink. Luther, you were in charge of coming up with the episode drink for this episode. What do you got? What do you call it? How do you make it? Hit me with it.
Oh, I love the sound of that challenge. All right, let's concoct something fittingly mysterious. We'll call it the Twilight Intrusion. It's part cocktail, part storytelling fuel, and 100% going to get the creative gears turning. So here's how we make it. We start with a base of dark spiced rum, because every good mystery needs a bit of depth. Add a splash of blackberry liqueur for a hint of darkness, a squeeze of fresh lime to keep it sharp, and top it off with some ginger beer for that little fizz of suspense. Garnish it with a twist of lemon peel, just to give it that final mysterious touch. And there you have it, the Twilight Intrusion. A little bit of intrigue in a glass, perfect for sipping while we unravel the story.
Ooh, you sipping on one of these with that styled mustache? Or what are you sipping on today, bud?
Oh, you know me. Today I've got my imaginary Twilight Intrusion in hand. Mustache perfectly twirled, and I'm just enjoying the vibe. It's a nice little ritual to get into that storytelling mode. But hey, whether it's a real drink or just a bit of creative fuel for the imagination, it's all about setting the mood. So here's to the stories ahead.
Here's to the story ahead, and let's jump into this. And I truly think, Luther, to understand, what you just witnessed, we need to kind of step out of the living room and into the world where it happened, don't you think?
Absolutely. Let's step right out of that living room and take a stroll back into the world of 1987 Chicago. To really get why this was so eerie, you have to picture the city as it was. A place buzzing with that late 80s energy, where cable TV was still kind of new and people weren't used to the idea that a broadcast could just get hijacked. So, yeah, let's dive into that world. Walk those streets and feel the vibe of the city at that time. That's where the heart of the story really starts.
All right, let's go. Chicago, 1987. A city living, well, two lives. By day, thriving. The Bulls, their rise, and a young Michael Jordan was already becoming a hometown legend. WGN was exploding into a national superstation, blasting Chicago sports and news across the country via cable. The city, it was alive with tech, it was alive with industry, and it was alive with energy by the day, wasn't it, Luther?
Oh, absolutely. By day, Chicago was just brimming with life, sports excitement, and that rising Jordan fever. But then as night fell, it was like the city had this other layer, a sort of hidden pulse. And that's exactly where the story slips in that twilight zone between the everyday hustle and a bizarre little piece of TV history that just snuck its way in. So yeah, let's walk those 1987 streets and see how the night flipped the script.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, Chicago at night it was uneasy. Crime was spiking. The police were buried under corruption and scandals. The CTA was dealing with violence on trains. You had the Midway Creeper case that had people really locking their doors pretty early. And then, if you haven't heard about this, the Tylenol murders were still fresh enough to make everyone pretty paranoid. Our friends of the show, the Your Town Podcast with Matt and Meg, did a really cool episode. So feel free to hit the Google Tylenol Murders Your Town Podcast. It was unbelievable. And then you had the Cold War hum was everywhere. Air raid sirens still echoed through neighborhoods. Emergency broadcast tests, they still interrupted shows. And kind of the idea of signals and interference, it kind of felt more nuclear than technical, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was like this constant background hum of tension, and everyone was just a little on edge. So when something as bizarre as a TV signal intrusion happened, it just tapped right into those underlying fears. It was almost like the city's nighttime shadow came crawling through the screen. And tying it back to that Cold War vibe, yeah, it definitely felt more like a ghost of something nuclear or otherworldly rather than just a tech glitch. So it all kind of set the perfect stage for that eerie, one of a kind event we're about to get into.
Yeah, and to kind of edit that and continually paint the picture, I mean, you have to think like computers, they were new. Cable TV, also new, and people were only just kind of learning what hacking actually was. It's not just one of those things that when you're playing video games and bro, you're hacking me, or your grandma is surfing the internet and gets a pop-up hijack that's you must call Microsoft now call 1-800 blah 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 blah. Right.
Exactly. It was all this brand new frontier where people were just starting to grasp what it even meant to mess with a broadcast signal or a computer system. It's like the wild west of technology. So when this weird intrusion happened, it was almost like everyone was collectively going, wait, can someone really do that? It just wasn't part of the normal everyday fear, which made it all the more unsettling. So yeah, you're totally spot on. It's not like today where we just roll our eyes at a scam pop up. Back then, it was like stepping into the unknown.
Into the unknown. Yeah. Sorry, before I get all frozen on you. Sorry, it's like somebody shook a snow globe where I am with all the snow and craziness. Anyways, but back to the story, Luther. Hacking a television signal. It was at this point pretty much like science fiction. It was deemed impossible. Airwaves, they were controlled, they were regulated, they were locked down tighter than most bank vaults. You know what I mean? And the idea that someone would force their way onto, well, your TV live in real time, come on.
Oh, absolutely. It was like stepping straight into a sci-fi movie. I mean, the idea that someone could just hijack a TV signal was like hearing that someone had, I don't know, walked through a wall. It just wasn't in the realm of what people thought was possible. And that's what made it so chilling and so memorable. It just threw everyone for a loop and made them realize that maybe the world was changing faster than they thought. So yeah, it's like that snow globe moment. Everything gets shaken up, and you're left wondering what else might be possible.
Yeah, I mean, the average Chicagoan? Yeah, I think that's a word. They couldn't even imagine this. And unfortunately, they were about to witness it all together. Because here we go. We're back in the living room. All right, we're back 1987, sitting on that couch. Luther, what was in your mind when you think 1987 furniture? What do you think most of these people describe to anybody that didn't get to live through the 80s? What a living room, what a couch, what a TV would look and feel like, and even smell like.
Oh, absolutely. Let's paint that picture. So you're in 1987 and you've got this living room that's probably got a big, sturdy, kind of overstuffed couch, maybe in some shade of brown or floral patterns that we all thought were just super stylish back then. There's definitely some shag carpeting going on. Nothing subtle about the 80s, right? The coffee table's probably covered in a few TV guides, maybe a remote control that's bigger than a modern day smartphone, and that old tube TV sitting there with its wood paneling or faux wood finish, like a piece of furniture all on its own. And the smell, well, you got a little mix of old upholstery, maybe a hint of something like the family dinner that was cooked a few hours ago, and just that cozy lived-in vibe. So when you're sitting there on that couch, you're in this little time capsule of 80s comfort, completely unaware that the TV is about to do something nobody thought it could do.
Now that we're there, the screen snaps back on. But what's playing, Luther? It isn't right. It's not the show that you were watching. It's not the test pattern. It's not the emergency alert. It's something else. You sit forward. You got that huge remote in your hand that's bigger than a modern day smartphone. The picture wobbles like a camera shaking. The audio drops in and out, stretched and compressed like it's being strangled through a failing speaker. You change the channel, and for a moment, a tiny moment, it works. A different program appears. Then that one, it flickers too. Static, black. And then the same bizarre image returns. And that's when you realize, Luther, this is not your TV malfunctioning. Someone is hijacking the broadcast. Someone is forcing their way onto every screen in the city.
Oh, you can just feel that chill, right? It's that moment where you go from thinking, oh, the TV's on the fritz, to realizing, wait a minute, this is something bigger. And that's when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up because you know you're not the only one seeing this. It's everyone in the city, all sitting in their living rooms, watching the same strange intrusion. And it just flips that switch from, oh, that's odd. So, oh, this is actually happening. So, yeah, it's that eerie realization that someone out there just broke into your night, and now the whole city's along for the ride.
Mm-hmm. And then the image, it stabilizes, and you finally see it, Luther. A figure wearing a mask, but not a mask that you recognize. It's the face. It's molded plastic, pale, warped, stretched into a permanent, exaggerated grin. The eyes, they don't blink. The hair is rubbery and cartoonish. It's not like it. I don't know. It almost looks human, but not quite right. How would you describe it? How are you feeling in that moment in '87 when this happens, Luther?
I mean, it's got to be pure uncanny valley chills, right? You're looking at this figure that's just human enough to be deeply unsettling, but off enough that it feels like something out of a nightmare. You see that mask, that frozen grin, and it's like your brain is trying to make sense of it, but it just can't. And in that moment, you know you're seeing something you're not supposed to be seeing, and it just sends a shiver down your spine. So yeah, in 1987, you'd be sitting there feeling a mix of confusion, a little bit of fear, and just that eerie sense you've stumbled into something truly strange and unforgettable.
And behind that figure, Luther, if this doesn't add to it the mystery or the fear a little bit more, is it's a wall of like rigid metal, wobbling, distorting, like it's being held up by somebody off screen. The figure then moves in short, kind of jerky, puppet-like jolts. The head snaps sideways. The shoulders they twitch. The body sways like the person inside is trying to stand on a rocking boat.
Oh, absolutely. That just ramps up the weirdness to a whole new level. You got this figure in this creepy mask, and now everything behind it is wobbling like some kind of surreal low budget stage. Just makes the whole thing feel even more like a fever dream. Like it's not just a person, but some sort of bizarre puppet show that's invaded your TV. And that jerky movement, it just adds to that feeling that you're watching something that shouldn't be happening, something out of this world. It's like a bad dream playing out in real life, and you can't look away.
And if that wasn't bad enough, then the voice comes in. It's a warped, glitching, synthetic voice, high pitched, then low, then buzzing, like someone is dragging a cartoon through a broken speaker. Is that a good way to put it?
Oh, absolutely. That's the perfect way to put it. It's like this twisted, glitchy cartoon voice that's just been pulled through a blender of static and distortion. It's the kind of sound that makes your skin crawl because it's so unnatural. And hearing that come through the TV, especially in 1987 when no one was used to anything like this, it would just be bone chilling. So, yeah, you've got this warped, buzzing voice along with that bizarre figure and the wobbly background, and you're just sitting there thinking, what on earth am I witnessing? It's definitely the stuff of nightmares.
Well, you think that was nightmares. It then laughs. It then mocks. It then rambles about the station, about the network, about people who clearly aren't in your room. And yet he talks like you're supposed to understand.
Oh, exactly. And that's what makes it all the more unsettling. It's like this strange figure is having a conversation with ghosts and you're just an unwilling eavesdropper. It's that feeling of hearing someone ramble on about things that make no sense to you. And yet there's this eerie implication that somewhere out there it does make sense to someone. So yeah, it's this bizarre, mocking, rambling broadcast that just makes you feel like you've stepped into a parallel universe for a minute.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
at one point, Luther, sorry to cut you off there, the figure then holds up a glove. At another instant, it brandishes an object that almost looks like a toy. Then it screams into the microphone, a shrill electronic screech that cuts straight into your gut.
Oh yeah, that just takes the creep factor to a whole new level. I mean, it's one thing to see the figure just wobbling around, but then when it started holding up objects like that glove and a toy-like thing, it's just adding these layers of bizarre theatrics. And then that scream, that high-pitched electronic screech that just goes right through you, that's the moment where you're probably gripping the arm of the couch and thinking, what on earth is happening? It's just pure chaos. It's no wonder it's gone down as one of the weirdest TV moments in history.
Let's hear you try to make that scream, that squealing, screeching, creepy.
All right, let's give it a shot. Imagine that screech just ripping through the air like this distorted, glitchy howl. It's kind of like if a cartoon character got tossed into a blender of static and just let out this warped, high-pitched way that goes something like just this kind of spine-tingling mechanical scream that's just all wrong and makes you want to cover your ears. So yeah, that's the vibe, just pure glitchy nightmare fuel.
Luther, my dude, you get a hand clap, a slow golf clap. You get the award of the day. For many, many episodes, I've been trying to get you to make the noise or sing or something, and you did it. And I couldn't be more proud of you right now.
Well, hey, I'll take that golf clap and wear it like a badge of honor. Sometimes you just got to throw in a little extra screech to keep things interesting, right? So I'm glad we finally got to that moment. And hey, here's to many more. It's all part of the fun.
You aren't kidding, but wasn't all fun in Chicago in '87 at this point. And in my opinion, Luther, you want to know what the worst part is? None of this makes any sense. Not the costume, not the background, not the references, not the gestures. It's just chaos. A message with no meaning, or maybe a message that only meant something to the person that was actually sending it.
Oh, absolutely. It's like this whole bizarre broadcast was just this puzzle with missing pieces, right? And you're sitting there trying to make sense of it, but there's just no logic to grab onto. It's like someone just threw a bunch of random elements together and hit the broadcast button just to see how the world would react. And that's probably the creepiest part, you know, right idea that there's this message that maybe only made sense to the person who sent it and everyone else is just left scratching their heads. See, it was chaos. That's what made it so unforgettable.
And then, when the figure leans in, tilting its plastic smile directly toward the camera, the screen cuts, your show it resumes. Silence floods the room. You sit there frozen, staring at the TV like, is it gonna come back? And what you don't know yet is you weren't the only one who saw this. Thousands of homes across Chicago witnessed the same thing. And inside the broadcast station, engineers were in full blown panic mode.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can just imagine that moment of everyone sitting there thinking, did we all just collectively hallucinate that? And then realizing, no, it was real. And the whole city saw it. And the core engineers at the station, they must have been losing their minds trying to figure out how someone pulled this off. Because this was like the ultimate this should never happen scenario. So yeah, it turned into this legendary moment of broadcast history. And everyone involved was just left wondering, how on earth it even happened?
I couldn't imagine being in WGN's control room because I bet you that room, it had to have erupted instantly. I'm picturing, and let me know what you're picturing, Luther, but I'm picturing engineers scrambling to, well, obviously figure out what the issue is, checking transmitters, satellite feeds, backup lines to see if anything coulda, woulda, is wrong.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I can just picture that control room turning into absolute chaos in a matter of seconds. You've got engineers running around, checking every piece of equipment, phones ringing off the hook, people yelling, "Is this on our end? Did we get hacked?" It must have been just a total scramble because, like you said, they'd be checking every transmitter, every feed, and probably just scratching their heads trying to figure out how someone managed to pull this off. So, yeah, it must have been a total fire drill in there.
Yeah, and the worst part, Luther, as a guy that's worked IT, there was nothing wrong. And that was the problem because what hijacked the broadcast didn't break anything. It didn't hack into the station's software. It didn't tamper with tapes or studio equipment. The intruder tapped into something outside the station.
Oh, exactly. That's the real kicker, right? It wasn't like they could just point to a broken piece of equipment and say, "There it is, that's the problem." Instead, it was this total mystery because whoever did it just slipped in from the outside. They found some way to hijack the signal without messing with the station's actual hardware. And that just made it all the more unsettling because it meant that the station had no idea where it came from or how to stop it. So, yeah, it's like the ultimate ghost in the machine scenario.
Yeah, because you know what they hacked into? The microwave relay link. The invisible beam that carried the broadcast signal from the station studio to the main transmission tower. And to hijack that, you needed some pretty highly specialized transmitters. You had to have the perfect line of sight to the tower, equipment powerful enough to override a licensed broadcast and knowledge of the frequency, the polarity, and the timing and engineering skills far beyond typical hobbyists. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't teenagers. This wasn't a glitch. This was someone with serious technical ability, someone who knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what takes it from just a weird prank to this kind of legendary act of technological mischief. Whoever pulled this off wasn't just messing around. They had serious know-how. They knew exactly how to tap into that microwave relay and over-air the signal, which is not something you just do on a whim. So yeah, really makes you wonder who had the skills, the equipment, and the nerve to pull this off.
Yeah, and immediately, obviously, the FCC was alerted. Then the FBI started to get involved, and WGN quietly started looking inward because the list of people who could actually pull off something like this, it wasn't that long, was it, Luther?
Oh, exactly. I mean, they must have started looking around and thinking, all right, who do we know who actually could have done this? Because that list of people with the right expertise and access had to be pretty short. And you know, when the SEC and the FBI get involved, it's serious business. So yeah, it turned into this big investigation, and everyone's looking over their shoulder, trying to figure out if it was an inside job or if some genius just pulled off the ultimate broadcast heist.
Yeah, let's talk about suspect number one, a former WGN engineer. There was a quiet rumor inside the station that a disgruntled former employee with access to microwave equipment may have been responsible. He left the state shortly after the hijack, refused interviews, and never spoke about it again. Investigators, unfortunately, though, Luther, they could never prove anything.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the kind of suspect that just adds to the mystery, right? You've got this shadowy figure in the background who had the skills and the opportunity, and then they just vanish into thin air. It's like something out of a movie. And the fact that they could never actually pin it on him just keeps that door wide open. It's like this perfect unsolved mystery that leaves everyone wondering, was it really him or was it someone else? And it just adds that extra layer of intrigue to the whole story.
Yeah, then you had suspect number two, a group of university broadcast pirates, which is probably a minor league baseball team out there somewhere, but some pointed toward a small crew of tech savvy students known for signal pranks on ham radio. I mean, they had knowledge, but they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the power. Did they actually have the guts to risk a federal felony? That was a question that was asked several times as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's kind of like you had this group of tech savvy students who were definitely clever enough to do smaller pranks, but stepping up to something this big was a whole different ballgame. It's like they might have had the brains, but not necessarily the means or the nerve to go that far. And yeah, it definitely makes you wonder if they would have been willing to risk getting in that kind of serious trouble. So it's one of those theories that sounds plausible, but when you dig a little deeper, it just doesn't quite add up. And that just keeps the mystery alive.
And you had suspect number 3, which a rogue engineer team. And many believe this is the most plausible theory that a group of engineers, not one person, planned it pretty meticulously. I mean, the timing, the strength, the equipment, the coordination, and the references in the audio, they were inside jokes aimed at people in broadcasting.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like the most likely scenario. I mean, when you think about how precise and coordinated the whole thing had to be, it really does seem like the work of a small team of people who knew exactly what they were doing. And the idea that the jokes and references were these inside nods to people in the industry just makes it even more intriguing. So his perfect little piece of broadcast folklore that was engineered by people who just wanted to pull off the ultimate inside joke on a massive scale. And the fact that they got away with it just makes it all the more legendary.
Yeah. But some people, Luther, they believed it wasn't a prank at all, that it was a test run. And you're thinking, well, by who? Depending on your conspiracy flavor, FCC insiders, military intelligence, private contractors, Cold War communication experiments, or someone proving the vulnerabilities of broadcast systems. Of course, though, Luther, nothing was ever proven. No one was ever arrested. And the identity of the masked intruder remains unknown to this day.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you have something this bizarre and unsolved, it just becomes a magnet for all kinds of theories. You can kind of see why people would think it was a test run by some shadowy group, whether it's government insiders or military folks, because it did show just how vulnerable the system was. And the fact that nobody was ever caught or even identified just keeps that door wide open for all those theories. So, yeah, it's the kind of mystery that just never stops sparking the imagination, but it's probably going to stay that way.
Yeah, I mean, after months of investigation, there was no fingerprints, there was no identifiable equipment, there was no radio logs, no rented transmitters, no witnesses, no repeat attempts, no leaks, no confessions, no trail. Broadcast engineers have said the only way that this is even possible was to have a small team with professional gear, planning, and access. But Chicago, fortunately, they never got answers. And the truth is, Luther, what happened that night could happen again anytime. It's easier now than it ever was.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of wild to think about, but with all the technology we have now, it's probably even easier for someone with the right know-how to pull off something similar. And the fact that they left no trace back then just adds to the legend. I mean, it was like the perfect crime in a sense. No evidence, no repeats, just this one bizarre event that nobody can ever fully explain. So yeah, it's one of those stories that just sticks with you, and it's a little reminder that sometimes the strangest things can happen when you least expect them.
Yeah, and there was this weird little rumor that maybe, just maybe, Luther or somebody has maybe seen that mask before, but not in Chicago. What about a storage locker in Indiana? Odd place, odd night, and maybe even an odd long story. I mean, let's just say the person who wore it wasn't supposed to be broadcasting anything, and the thing was he trying to actually override? Maybe he wasn't even trying to do anything at a TV station. Maybe it was something else.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the whole thing just gets even more mysterious. You know, it's like this little breadcrumb trail that leads you to some random storage locker in Indiana, and you start wondering if maybe the whole thing was even weirder than anyone thought. Like maybe it wasn't even about a TV station at all, and this person just stumbled onto something else entirely. It's like every new piece of the puzzle just makes the whole story a little stranger. And that's what makes it such a fun legend, because you can just keep digging and coming up with more questions and answers.
I couldn't imagine, living in that moment and just, the potential fear and just having that memory that happened in '87. It's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those moments that just gets burned into your memory if you were there. It's the kind of thing that people probably still talk about as a sort of urban legend. Like, hey, do you remember that night when the TV got hijacked? It's just one of those stories that sticks around because it was so strange and so unexplained. And yeah, it's definitely one of those things that you'd never forget if you saw it live. It just becomes part of that weird, fascinating fabric of history.
Yeah. What happened that night? It wasn't just a prank. It was a warning, a reminder that the systems we trust, the ones we assume are locked down, protected, and safe, they can be broken by someone with the right knowledge and the wrong intentions. In 1987, Chicago got a glimpse behind the curtain, and they saw something bizarre, something unsettling, something unforgettable, a moment when the TV fought back.
Absolutely. And that's the eerie beauty of it, right? It was just this bizarre wake up call that all these systems we rely on aren't as impenetrable as we think. And 1997 Chicago just got a front row seat to that. It's one of those moments that makes you realize that sometimes reality is just as strange as fiction. So, yeah, it was a prank, it was a mystery, and it was definitely a reminder that with the right know how, you can call back the gun on just about anything.
Yeah. And if you enjoyed this deep dive on, another conspiracy theory, feel free to let us know. And we can't thank you enough for being over here on the new Beard Laws Network. And if you want to let us know what conspiracy or mystery you want us to tackle next, feel free to do so. And until then, I'm man, that's Luther Grimwood, and this has been the Triple T Podcast. Luther, take us out of here.
Absolutely, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in and diving down the rabbit hole with us. If you've got a mystery you want us to unravel next, you know where to find us. Until then, keep those TV tuned and those minds open. I'm Matt. That's Luther Grimwood, and this has been the Triple T Podcast on the Beard Laws Network. Take care, and we'll catch you next time.
Apparently, you've drank a little bit too much because you're Luther. I'm Matt. We'll figure this whole thing out. Or maybe I'm really Luther and he's Matt and something's going. I don't know what's going on anymore, but I do know I'm going to get out of here. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody.